Welcome back to Campus View, the show where we discuss what's on the mind of students. Today we're talking about crime. I'm your host, Brett Price, but first, let's meet our guests.
All right, so I'm Madison Kinner, and I am a fourth year in journalism.
My name is Lauren Stannard, and I am a fourth year in strategic communications.
My name is Kaylee Richard, and I'm a third year in journalism.
And there's no sugarcoating it. There's been a lot of high-profile crimes on and off campus. Can you talk, whether it be Sammy Sasso or Emily Foster, can you talk a little bit about how safe you feel on and off campus at Ohio State?
Personally, I feel not incredibly unsafe walking on campus. I feel like I'm a little too comfortable sometimes. Sometimes I've walked home alone, and then I've realized that's probably not the best idea. But especially here recently, I've felt I've had a decrease in comfort, especially with the Sasso shooting, and then also the student who was mugged by one of the residence halls. I think it's just really concerning, and I hope that the university is putting things in place to maybe help students feel safer on and off campus.
I actually live close to where the robbery was, and I was awake at that time. So honestly, finding out after the fact is a little bit unnerving because it was I didn't know what was going on, and it was right there by Res on 10th where I live. So that's just a little concerning, and I feel when I walk home at night, I try not to walk home super late, especially alone. But when I do, I'm aware of my surroundings and watching out for what's around.
Yeah, I would say overall, I still feel pretty safe, especially on campus, but obviously these crimes are never fun to read about, and every time that you see one, it does kind of decrease how you feel about safety a little bit. So yeah, but I have some faith in Ohio State to, keep increasing safety measures and stuff. So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and the university recently announced its expansion of the police presence on campus. I believe they're adding 5 new officers. What do you think about this? Do you think this will make campus safer? It's kind of a hot button issue. What do you guys feel about it?
I think it will make campus safer. I obviously, I've always said, I want change. I don't want there to be as much, crime on campus, but also, I don't even know where I would start to maybe enforce that. But I think that they're kind of headed in the right direction. And especially with us, getting a new president in the spring, hopefully they'll continue that upward trend on just making safety a priority.
I feel it's a good step in the right direction. I think there's more that can be done in increasing safety off campus as well as on campus because Madison said, there's safety. You feel safe on campus, but it's when you step off that there's a little bit of an uneasy feeling, especially if it's late at night or you're alone or you're in an area that you don't walk through often. So I just think it's a step in the right direction, truly. And they did install just a new light by my apartment, which is helpful. But obviously the light isn't going to help from when I'm getting mugged. So.
Yeah, I think, combined with some of the other things that Ohio State is doing, including increasing some surveillance and, the continued presence of the Buckeye Block Watch, the volunteer force, I think that it could definitely have the potential to help adding new police officers. I think it'll be hard to tell right away if it helps, but, later down the line we'll be able to see, and I think it could be useful.
Yeah. And what does campus safety mean to you all? Is there any one particular measure that you'd want to see implemented, or you think it's kind of a slow change?
I think it's a slow change. I remember when I was looking at universities, one of the things that stood out to me was Ohio State had those I don't know if you've seen them the blue emergency lights all around campus. They really harped on that because that was a new thing at the time. I think just implementing those kinds of things will help what's going on, but it really does mean a lot to me, and because I do live off campus, so I've there's been cars that have been hot wired and by my house. There have been break-ins a house next to me. So just overall safety and just comfort in my own home is just something that I truly want. So.
Yeah, have any of y'all gotten your cars broken into, or your roommates or anyone at your house? I know that's been a big thing lately.
Personally, I haven't. I've just seen things around. I know someone who it was last semester, but she still got her like car stolen. It was like a Kia. And so I remember hearing about that. And when I was buying a car this summer, I was like, let's make sure not to buy one of those maybe in Columbus, But I personally haven't.
Yeah, I personally haven't either. Like, I've heard stories, and I feel like maybe like by association, I probably know someone who's had their car broken into. But I think some student orgs on campus have like really stepped up in providing like safety devices, especially for the Hyundais and Kias that have been like more susceptible to being stolen. So, yeah, I think student orgs are doing good work there.
Yeah, I personally haven't had my car broken into, but like I said, like the house next to me had like their windows like cut, like because they had their windows open and the film was cut and somebody like broke into their house. So we ended up getting like a Ring doorbell and like security system. So yeah, like I haven't had anything, but I'm really precautious.
Yeah, for sure. Those security systems definitely help out a lot. And then transitioning a little bit to wrap it up, do you all listen to any true crime content or podcasts? That's certainly been on the rise lately.
I don't personally, but all my friends do.
I listen to some occasionally. I think it's interesting and like it gives a new perspective because a lot of times it's not always a random person it's like someone who knows someone that is committing the crime, And I think those are more interesting and less scary, I would say, than the ones where it's like a random attack. But I think they're definitely interesting, but I can't listen to them too often because then I get in my head.
Yeah, I don't really listen to anything true crime. I used to watch Criminal Minds, but it freaked me out too much, so I had to stop at some point.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Awesome. All right. Well, that's all that we have for crime on Campus View. Stick around for our next segment where we'll be talking about food on and off campus.